We're back. It's Community Conversations. I'm Miss Community Clovia, and here with me this morning is my very special guest, the mayor of the city of Richmond, Douglas Wilder. Good morning.
As usual, always good to be with you, Clovia.
Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today as the executor of our city. We're also kicking off Black History Month, and you're definitely a history maker, the first African-American governor since Reconstruction.
Well,
the
you're
first.
kind. You know...
That's not kind. You work
well,
for
you're
it.
kind. You know, Dick Gregory says this month, February, is the month that the observation takes place because it's the shortest month. he said, you know, they give us the shortest Doug. I said, no, Dick. The reason is because you got several people born during that month. The father of Negro history, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, and then you likewise had other people who Frederick Douglass being celebrated during that period. And so the more important thing, though, is learning from history. Learning about it is one thing, learning from it is another. And have we learned from history? We celebrate the 40th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. King, but have we learned from Dr. King? And a lot of people now love Dr. King, think he was the greatest thing in the world. They hated him when he was alive. You would take polls around the country and people said, what is he doing involving himself in the Vietnam War? Ministers hated him. The head of the Baptist Association, Dr. Jackson, when they named a street later on in his city in Chicago for Dr. Martin Luther King, he changed the entrance of the church to the back part because he said he didn't even want his church to be there. So a black woman almost killed him in Harlem when she stuck a knife in him. And yet he made it possible for others to be respected, like the Jesse Jacksons and the Andrew Youngs and the others who learned and followed because of seeing things he did. So he wasn't popular. And I think you've got to learn from history that the kinds of things that people do, they're not popular. Look what happened to Lincoln just a month or so after he visited Richmond. The popularity of a cause is one thing, the rightness of it is something else. And so I think it's so important, first of all, to learn that the possibility of America being a better place is always something that we need to work to do, and that's what I learned from history.
That's good. And Black History Month is not just 28 days in some months, 29 days, it's 365.
Well, you're absolutely right. It should be something that, I remember when I studied it in high school, it was an elective, not even mandatory. And thank goodness I did take it at Old Armstrong School, because I learned so much that otherwise I would never have known because it wasn't taught. And sometimes it's not being taught yet. Every now and then I run into some youngsters who will say things to me. One of them, at least two or three of them, said, "Haven't you been dead?" I'll say, I may have been, but I think I came back. He said, "Well, we read about you, we studied about you." And that's why sometimes people relate history to the past, yet we need to learn from our history. One of the things that troubles me, particularly in this election, and I know we're going to be talking about it a little bit, is the opportunity that exists in America today. And some people still don't see it. It has nothing to do with the color of that person's skin. It has to do with what Dr. King was talking about.
The content of your character.
And the qualifications you have. What else do you have to do? Finished Harvard Law School, been head of the Law Journal, being in a position to head and work with groups where you lived, could have gone to Wall Street and been in some of the big firms making money, chose not to do that and run, and yet you still got some people out there saying he's not ready yet. But this is, I told him when I talked with him, and he was here in Richmond, and you were here, you were there with us. And he was at the JJ dinner. I said, "Let me tell you so you'll know it," and his wife was there. "You're going to find a great deal of objection to your running, and it's going to come from your own people." And she couldn't understand it. I said, "Trust me, when I say your own people, I don't mean John Doe. I don't mean the people who regularly go to the polls who never get their names mentioned. It's going to come from those opinion makers those people who would say it's not your time. For an Andy Young, for instance, who King made, Dr. King made him. For him to say, well, you know, Obama, you wait 8 years. Wait 8 years. It's not your time. My thing has always been, if a thing is right, the time is always right. And this is Barack's time. His time is right. I'm going down to Atlanta to work with him, to be a part in Memphis. I'm going to be doing that in Virginia. Going to be going wherever they want me to go. Because I tell you, Clovia, I have never seen, and I've had a lot of my friends, I have never seen anything like this in America. In terms of, it's a wave. It's not black. It's not old. It's not young. It's not old or middle age. It's not white. People they want to change.
An effective
They
change.
want to see an involvement with our lives that they can see an America that is the America that everyone talked about in terms of the founding fathers, the precepts, the dreams. That's why Caroline Kennedy said what she said. I haven't met anyone or heard of anyone that even comes close to what I've heard my father was.
Yeah.
That is a heck of a testament. That's a tremendous statement.
All right, so primaries are coming up February 12th for all eligible voters. We want to encourage them to get to the polls and vote on Election Day.
That's correct. Get there to vote. Tell everybody else. And don't you let anybody believe that you're wasting your vote. The only way you waste your vote is if you don't vote. Now, who you vote for, and you're absolutely right. You have every right and reason to select who you want. You don't have to vote for Barack Obama, and because anyone tells you to do that, but you don't vote against him because you don't have a chance, he doesn't have a chance. Nor do you vote for him because of the color of his skin. But don't vote against him because of the color of his skin. And those things work together.
Yeah. Again, primaries coming up February 12th, and we're going to be heading out to area high schools, getting folks, students registered to vote. If you're going to be 18 before the November 4th elections, we're coming to your high school.
And if you don't vote in this election, and if you're not registered in this election, there's no excuse for you not to get registered as quickly as you can so you can vote in the next one. And you young people who are listening, ask your parents if they're registered, and ask them why they're not registered, and ask them if they voted, and if they did vote, tell them to bring you that little tag that they get. I voted today, and let them be on your report.
No, you're going to try to get those kids
Give
smacked.
them an F if they don't.
Oh my God, man, don't get those kids smacked like that. But anyway, and that's a good idea. We want to make it a family effort. We want to get our kids in the mode of voting, even if they're under the age.
Right.
But take them with you to the polls and let them see what the process is like and all of the good stuff. I think getting into government affairs and great health and education are the tools to grow in communities.
It's
that's
great,
what
and
I
particularly
feel.
in the schools. And you'd be surprised. I've been in some statewide elections or even local elections, and little kids have said to me, "I voted for you," and I say, "I thank you so much."
Mark elections.
Yeah, but they don't consider it mark. They say, "I voted for you," and I said, "Thank you," and I appreciate you doing it.
So what have we learned here today? Vote is your voice, it's your right, it's your power. Richmond Mayor Doug Wilder, mayor of the city of Richmond, a history maker, first African-American governor since Reconstruction, and he was also the first African-American elected to the Senate in 1969.
Well, you made it kind, and thank you, and I'll be back.
All right. It's Community Conversations. I'm Miss Community Clovia.